take a second and just look around your space right now for a reusable water bottle.
Yeah, just glance around the room.
There's a very high probability that there's a hydro flask or, a Stanley quencher or maybe just some generic insulated tumbler sitting on your desk.
Or tucked into the side pocket of your bag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look closely at that simple everyday object. I mean, it is deceptively mundane. Because today, that little piece of vacuum-sealed stainless steel and molded plastic is, it's our key to unlocking this massive, complex web of invisible economic forces.
Right, because we usually just see a convenient container for our water.
Right.
We completely miss the staggering global machinery involved.
The logistics networks, the psychology.
Yes, all of that deeply ingrained human psychology required to put that specific object in your hand at that exact moment.
It's wild to think about.
Yeah.
And to do this deep dive justice, to really decode this foundational economics material we're looking at today, we need a visual.
Oh, definitely. So I want you, the listener, to picture the backdrop here transforming. Like the standard bookshelf behind us just fades away.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
And it's replaced by a bustling, dynamic global marketplace. Then, layered right over the crowds and the storefronts and, the cargo ships, these glowing, shifting graphs appear.
Oh, I like that, like augmented reality.
Exactly. It visually maps out the hidden math of human behavior.
But if we want to understand how that math actually functions in the real world, we kind of have to strip away the noise first.
We do. We have to establish a core baseline rule.
Right, for how a simple price tag dictates what you, the consumer, will do. And this is long before any real-world chaos or viral marketing trends or supply chain disruptions interfere.
Yeah, and economists use what's called the law of demand to establish this baseline.
Okay, the law of demand. Lay it on us.
So it basically describes the inverse relationship between a product's price and the quantity of that product that consumers demand.
The inverse meaning one goes up, the other goes down.
Yeah, precisely. And our source material uses the reusable water bottle market to make this incredibly concrete.
Perfect. Give us the numbers.
Okay, so when the price of a standard reusable bottle is set at $30, consumers across the market buy 3 million bottles per week.
$30 equals 3 million bottles. Got it.
Right. But you drop that price to $25 and consumers suddenly buy 4 million bottles per week.
Wow. Okay, so a $5 price drop suddenly motivates an entire population to move 1 million more units.
It does. But to definitively prove that causality...
That the price drop directly and exclusively caused the sales spike.
Right. Exactly. To prove that, the textbook introduces a foundational condition. It's called Ceteris paribus.
Oh, Ceteris paribus. Okay, let's unpack this because that is some heavy textbook jargon right there.
It translates from Latin as holding everything else constant.
Holding everything else constant.
Yeah. Economists require all variables other than price to be completely locked down and immobilized when they construct a demand curve.
Right. And the best way, I think, for you listening to conceptualize Ceteris paribus is to imagine you're holding a remote control.
A remote control?
Yeah, like a device that instantly freezes the entire universe.
Oh, I see where you're going.
You press pause on reality. So nobody gets a sudden raise at their job. No new dietary or hydration trends emerge online.
No rival companies launch a sleeker, lighter water bottle.
Exactly. Even the global weather patterns stay exactly the same. You freeze all of human existence. And the only authorized change in this entire frozen system is the price tag on that one specific water bottle, dropping from $30 to $25.
That is a great analogy, because that frozen universe is literally the only method available to isolate the variable.
Because otherwise it's just chaos.
Complete chaos. Without freezing time and holding everything else constant, economic modeling just collapses into guesswork.
Right. We wouldn't know if people bought more bottles because of the $5 discount or because, I don't know, a sudden undocumented heat wave made everyone desperate for water.
Exactly. Isolating the price tag proves that in a perfect vacuum, a lower price inherently equals a higher quantity demanded.
Okay, so identifying the mathematical change in a vacuum is one thing. But we need to look at the psychological gears turning inside the buyer's head, don't we?
We definitely do.
Because when that price drops from $30 to $25, specific psychological triggers actually compel the population to add more to their collective carts.
Yeah, there are two distinct hidden forces that kick in simultaneously at the exact moment of that price drop.
Okay, what's the first one?
First is the substitution effect.
Substitution effect.
Right. This represents the change in the quantity demanded that occurs because a price change makes a good more or less expensive relative to its available substitutes.
So comparing it to other options.
Exactly. When the reusable water bottle drops to $25, consumers immediately evaluate their other daily habits.
Like buying a disposable bottle of spring water every single afternoon.
Yes. The reusable bottle suddenly registers as a significantly better long-term value proposition compared to buying that spring water every day.
Ah, okay. So the consumer is constantly running this subconscious value calculation.
Plenty of time.
I'm swapping out the option that now feels mathematically inefficient for the one that maximizes my value over time.
That's the substitution effect in a nutshell.
Makes total sense. Now, what's the second force? The text mentioned the income effect, right?
Yes, the income effect. And this one alters your purchasing power.
Okay, wait. Let me push back on that a second.
Yeah.
Dropping the price of a water bottle doesn't literally increase my paycheck, right?
No, it doesn't. If the bottle drops from $30 to $25, your absolute income hasn't changed. Your salary is identical.
Right.
But your existing capital now stretches further. You effectively have extra purchasing power to deploy into the broader economy.
Okay, I get it. It's like finding a $5 bill in your winter coat.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, you didn't get a raise at work, but your wallet suddenly has the power to buy, like an extra coffee you didn't think you could afford.
Exactly. That increase in purchasing power makes consumers feel tangibly wealthier.
Even if the bank account number is the same.
Right. And when purchasing power increases across an entire population due to a widespread price drop, that population collectively buys a larger quantity of goods.
So they team up. The substitution effect makes the reusable bottle mathematically more attractive than the disposable spring water.
And the income effect makes the population feel like they have more capital available to deploy.
Boom. Those forces synchronize to drive that sales volume from 3 million up to 4 million.
You got it. But, the psychological drive to maximize value is deeply ingrained, but keeping the universe frozen forever is a theoretical luxury.
Sadly, yes.
Yeah.
We can't keep the remote paused.
We can't. If we unpause reality and let the chaos of the actual market back in, we have to analyze what happens when the price of the water bottle stays permanently locked at $30, but the macroeconomic environment changes around it.
Oh boy. Unfreezing the universe.
Yeah, and this introduces a really critical distinction between a change in quantity demanded and a change in demand.
Those sound exactly the same to a layperson.
I know. Economists are terrible at naming things, but a change in quantity demanded is what occurs in our frozen universe.
The movement along the curve.
Exactly. A strictly defined movement along the existing curve caused purely by a price change. However, a change in demand represents a complete shift of the entire curve.
So moving the whole thing.
Right. Caused by outside variables altering human behavior while the price remains completely static.
Okay, to make sure you listening never confuse these two, think of it like this. A movement is like sliding a bead up and down a wire, based entirely on the price tag.
That's the frozen universe.
Right. But a shift is a system-level disruption. You physically pick up the entire wire and move it over to a completely different wall because reality itself has been rewritten.
Yes, that is a fantastic visual.
So let's look at the first variable that forces that kind of massive shift. Income.
Right. So the source outlines the consequences when average household income jumps from $62,000 to $83,000.
Okay, naturally, if I make more money, I just buy more of everything, right?
Well, not exactly. For what economists classify as normal goods, yes, demand increases proportionally as income rises.
Okay, but there's a catch.
There is. We encounter what are called inferior goods, where demand actually decreases when your income increases.
Wait, my income goes up and I buy less of something.
Yep. As your household income jumps to $83,000, you purchase less canned tuna or fewer packages of instant noodles.
Oh, I see.
And instead, you allocate that new wealth toward more expensive alternatives, like salmon or whole grain pasta.
Got it. And I think it's important to point out here that the term inferior isn't like a subjective judgment on the quality or the taste of the noodles.
No, not at all.
It's just the technical jargon classification for goods that a consumer naturally outgrows as their resources expand.
Exactly. When the macroeconomic environment shifts and people accumulate more wealth, the entire demand curve for instant noodles shifts to the left.
Meaning it shrinks substantially.
Right. Even if the price of those noodles hasn't changed a single cent, Consumers simply graduate to different consumption brackets based on their available resources.
Makes total sense. What's another major disruptor that shifts the entire curve?
The prices of related goods, specifically substitutes and complements.
We encountered substitutes briefly with the substitution effect, right?
We did. If the average price of a disposable bottle of spring water falls from $2 to $1.50, the disposable water becomes a highly attractive, low-cost alternative.
But the consumers will demand fewer reusable water bottles at every single price point.
Exactly. Shifting the entire demand curve for our $30 reusable bottles entirely to the left.
That's brutal. The reusable water bottle company did absolutely nothing wrong.
Nope.
Their product quality remained the same. Their price stayed exactly at $30. But a competitor's aggressive pricing strategy effectively penalized them, shrinking their market share.
Welcome to the free market.
Yeah.
But complements operate in a similar but inverted way.
Okay, what are complements?
These are goods inherently used together, operating as a joint ecosystem.
I like to call this the PB&J effect.
The PB&J effect.
Yeah, like if jelly becomes incredibly cheap, consumers load up on it, which forces them to go buy more peanut butter to match, even if the peanut butter is selling at full price.
That is spot on. The textbook illustrates this complementary dynamic using gym memberships.
Oh, that fits perfectly with our water bottle example.
It does. Gym memberships and reusable water bottles are complementary goods within the fitness ecosystem. So, if the average price of a local gym membership drops from $40 a month to $30 a month, gym signups surge.
Because it's cheaper.
Right. And because all these new gym goers require mobile hydration while they work out, they purchase more water bottles.
Even though the water bottles didn't go on sale.
Exactly. The demand curve for water bottles shifts to the right, expanding, entirely because the fitness center decided to run a promotional discount.
The interconnectedness of these markets is just profound. I mean, the revenue projections of a steel manufacturing company are inextricably linked to the promotional pricing strategies of local fitness centers.
It's a massive web.
But not all variables are tied to tangible mathematical price tags, are they? Because the text points to tastes as a massive variable.
Oh, tastes are huge. It's essentially a catch-all category for consumer trends, digital advertising, and cultural psychology.
Like Instagram influencers, right? They serve as a prime example in the text.
Yes, exactly. Water bottle companies pay influencers to feature specific products in their curated lifestyle content. This digital marketing artificially accelerates shifts in economic behavior.
Because it modifies consumers' tastes.
Right, so the bottle is no longer evaluated purely as a hydration tool, it transitions into a social signal.
The psychological mechanism at play here is status seeking. You're not buying the raw utility of holding 20 ounces of water. You are purchasing the social cachet associated with the influencer's brand.
Which completely untethers the demand curve from standard utility math. A viral video can cause a massive demand spike that fundamentally defies traditional logic.
It's ripping the wire right off the wall.
The cultural hype alone shifts the demand curve violently to the right.
And the source material had another example of taste, didn't it? Something about diets.
Yeah, it highlights how the widespread adoption of low-carbohydrate diets fundamentally shifted national tastes.
Oh, right. The keto and Atkins craze.
Exactly. This wasn't a minor localized fluctuation. It crushed the aggregate demand for bread and donuts, shifting their curves heavily to the left.
R.I.P. to the donut.
Seriously. While massively increasing the demand for fish, shifting its curve to the right.
That's crazy. Entire agricultural and fishing sectors had to rapidly recalibrate their supply chains simply because a critical mass of the population adopted a new philosophy on carbohydrates.
It just shows how powerful tastes are.
So consumers relentlessly hunting for deals, seeking digital status, and shifting their dietary philosophies creates this chaotic, constantly evolving landscape of demand.
Very chaotic.
But this entire time, we've only been analyzing the buyer side of the equation.
That's true.
If we pivot and look at the companies actually pouring the industrial plastics and forging the stainless steel to meet this erratic behavior, a completely different, heavily constrained psychology takes over.
It does. The mirror image of the buyer's mindset is the law of supply.
Okay, the law of supply. Flipping the script.
Right. And the rule states that holding everything else constant, increases in price cause increases in the quantity supplied.
Okay, let's look at the numbers.
The textbook details this using established firms like Yeti, Triton, and Swell. At a price point of $25 per bottle, these manufacturers are willing to supply 6 million bottles per week.
$25 equals 6 million.
But when the market price rises to $30, they're willing to supply 7 million bottles.
Okay, so as the potential financial reward increases, they are incentivized to push more product into the market.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean? Because let me push back on this logic for a second.
Sure.
If I'm running a factory, looking at the standard mechanics of manufacturing, logic would dictate that economies of scale make production cheaper the more you produce, right?
You would think so, yes.
Like if an organization orders 10,000 custom promotional T-shirts, they cost significantly less per shirt than ordering 50. The system seems entirely built to reward bulk production.
It does seem that way on the surface.
So shouldn't making more bottles make each bottle cheaper to produce because of bulk discounts?
Well, the reason these massive factories don't just infinitely scale up their output is because they hit a ceiling of physical friction.
Physical friction.
Yeah, what the text refers to as increasing marginal costs.
Increasing marginal costs.
Right. If a firm needs to suddenly produce an extra 1 million units to meet a viral demand spike, they can't just magically materialize a fully operational new factory overnight.
Right, they have to use what they already have.
Exactly. They are forced to squeeze more output from their existing finite infrastructure. They have to run their existing machinery on overtime, which costs a massive premium.
Oh, because they're paying time and a half to the workers.
Yes. The physical friction involved is immense. And remember, many of these manufacturing hubs are geographically located in Asia.
Right.
So to artificially jump production from 6 million to 7 million bottles, firms must pay those higher overtime wages. Furthermore, churning out physical product at that accelerated rate forces them to rely on expedited global shipping.
Oh, right. You can't just put it on a slow boat anymore.
Exactly. They start paying premium air freight or rush ocean rates to transport massive shipments across the world to consumer markets in North America and Europe.
Wow.
So every additional bottle produced beyond their baseline capacity starts costing significantly more to physically make and deliver than the units before it.
Okay, so the manufacturer is essentially calculating a pain threshold.
That's a great way to put it.
They will willingly endure the logistical nightmare of paying workers premium overtime, running specialized machines to the point of degradation, and eating exorbitant global freight costs.
But only if the final retail price tag on the consumer shelf is high enough to absorb that massive logistical friction and still yield a profitable margin.
Right. At $25, the margin is simply too thin to justify the overtime, so they cap production at a safe $6 million.
Exactly.
But at $30, the math flips. The overtime becomes a profitable venture, and they greenlight the aggressive push to 7 million units.
You nailed it. The law of supply is dictated by the brutal physical realities of production logistics. Manufacturers will only supply a larger aggregate quantity if the market price is sufficient to cover those escalating marginal costs.
Man, so every single transaction you execute is just the temporary resolution of a massive, invisible tug of war.
It really is.
On one end of the rope, the law of demand represents you, the consumer. You are relentlessly seeking the lowest possible price point to maximize your personal purchasing power.
Constantly influenced by the substitution effect, fluctuations in your own income, and the aggressive status-seeking behavior driven by digital marketing.
And then pulling fiercely on the opposite end of that rope is the law of supply.
Representing the global manufacturer.
Right, demanding higher retail prices to justify the severe physical limitations of the material world, the premium overtime wages, the rigid factory capacities, and the thousands of miles of ocean separating production from consumption.
It's a delicate balance.
So the next time you scroll past a digital influencer holding a brightly colored Stanley Cup, or you notice a local gym running a massive membership special, you are witnessing the exact economic variables picking up the invisible tracks of the global market and physically moving them to a completely new location.
Beautifully summarized. And, scanning the key terms list at the very end of our source text, there are several macroeconomic concepts that point to the immediate aftermath of this tug of war.
Oh, like what?
Well, terms like shortage, surplus, and competitive market equilibrium.
Which we didn't even get to deep dive into today.
Right. But the inclusion of one term in particular, technological change, introduces a profoundly fascinating variable.
Okay, color me intrigued.
Because everything we have unpacked today assumes the rigid physical constraints of overseas factories, shipping lanes, and raw material logistics.
Right. The entire reason the supply side demands a higher price is to offset the sheer friction of moving physical atoms across the globe.
Exactly. So consider a sudden, radical technological change.
Like what?
What if a highly advanced, financially accessible 3D printer became widely available, allowing you to instantly print a flawless, vacuum-sealed Yeti bottle right on your kitchen counter using cheap, accessible raw
Oh,
materials?
wow. If you obliterate the overseas factory, the ocean shipping lane, and the international labor costs, you completely bypass the entire concept of increasing marginal costs.
The physical constraints that define the law of supply would just evaporate.
That level of technological disruption wouldn't just shift the curves we analyze today. It would completely rewrite the foundational math of human behavior and global trade.
It's definitely something to think about.
It really is. So look back at that water bottle sitting on your desk. It's not just a piece of drinkware. It is a physical manifestation of an ongoing global negotiation between your endless consumer desires and the hard limits of physical production.
It's the invisible market in the palm of your hand.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.